Guten Morgen, meine Damen und Herren, von Seiten der Deutschen Senioren.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the German Elderly Association of Elderly People, I'd like to welcome you. I will talk about chronic pain and age, and I will say something on this subject because in Germany we regard this as being one of the most important subjects of our activities. We've launched a federal campaign where we're trying to raise awareness in the public sphere for these problems. I'm not a doctor myself, I'm a lawyer. And for the first 30 years of my life, I spent much of my time in politics, which offer certain advantages in that you find it easier to make contact with people, particularly when you're talking to those concerned, in this case, patients or people suffering from chronic pain and age symptoms. The German Association of the Elderly has looked into the situation of the elderly for 30 years now in Germany, and we're trying to avoid a situation where generations are competing against one another. We're trying to work cross-generationally, and we are trying to look after quality of life against the backdrop of demographic change in Germany and in Europe. We are a non-profit organization. We're not receiving any state funds, so we are basically free to do whatever we want. We are on nobody's paycheck, although, of course, we cooperate closely with industrial partners. In the past, we've carried out major campaigns on subjects such as Alzheimer. We also cooperate in open innovation projects, research projects, where we try and find out and interview the elderly about their views on working longer, on what they would like to see in their workplaces. And another important point for the elderly and the very aged is to do with, of course, technical equipment necessary for workplaces for the elderly, to do away with much of the stigma that's associated with it. Now, when we look into largely medical aspects, you tend to lose sight of certain other things. Ingo Fösken is certainly an example to the contrary. He's covered many other subject areas. We are slightly less member-oriented than our American sister organization. Our focus is much more in the public domain. We would like to inform people. We would like to make sure that patients are better informed so that they can take informed decisions. So when patients go and see their doctors, they are emancipated patients. They must know about their rights. They must know about their entitlements, what it is they can demand. And I'm talking about a campaign here which we've divulged through the media. At the center of such a campaign, you get patient brochures, and we have targeted information for both policymakers and doctors. They are distributed via the media, as I say, but also through direct mail. Now, these are but a few examples of how we have received, to what extent we've received support from the media, and we are very grateful for that. We achieve very good penetration, and that then triggers people's requests for more information. And this also applies to the campaign Chronic Pain and Age. We would like to help the elderly and the aged to find their way back out of the pain trap, sort of thing. We would like, of course, where possible, to avoid that they end up in a situation of chronic pain in the first place. Now, let me give you a few figures. In Germany, we've got some 13 million patients with chronic pain, 1-3, and you will be aware of some of these numbers here. Only half of these patients are being treated properly. The rest is being treated insufficiently, too late in the process. And that's a scandal, I think. Now, what are the special aspects of the aged? Now, the risk for suffering from chronic pain is increased in old age, of course. I don't want to repeat all the truisms that you know about, but this is something that we need to bring to the attention of decision makers. And we need to tell also family members of patients, because it's often the younger family members, relatives, who tell us that they have to look after their grandparents, for example, and they often do not know about certain changes that occur in old age. Old people often will not necessarily call what they're suffering from pain. They will say that they sleep poorly and other things. And then those who suffer from dementia often find it completely impossible to express what they're feeling, that they're feeling pain. So we have to guess from their mimics and from other indications what it is they're suffering from. So whereas pain normally is a symptom, a signal of acute pain, it's often disregarded, and that's how people end up being chronic pain patients. And this is something that we'd like to try and help avoid. Pain patients are not receiving sufficient treatment in Germany. Only 30 to 40% of all patients receive proper care. This is unacceptable. Most patients, or 30 to 40%, are at least not happy with their pain therapy. Only these 30 to 40% are seen by specialists, and it often takes several months, 4 or 5 months, before they see a specialist. These are data that we've collected over the years, and we try and bring this to the attention of people in politics. We talk to federal politicians, we talk to people in the Länder, in the German federal states, and at other levels too. So we don't have enough pain management or treatment centers. We have ad idem rules which put the whole thing at risk. We have discounting of certain medications which are to the detriment of these patients. So there are a lot of things that need to be improved in Germany, but also in Europe as a whole. Pain needs to be treated early on in the process in order to avoid chronic pain, because the chronic pain is something that sticks in the memory. Medical doctors can explain to you how this process works. You know, the human brain gets used to pain and then develops a sort of hyperactivity. I'm arthrotic, an arthrotic patient. I'm 62 years of age, and I sometimes have to take painkillers to be able to do my sports activities. Now, age and pain, we have a two-pronged approach. We hope that in the decades to come we can target thousands of patients in a much better way, so that patients will see their doctors in a much more informed state. That is our one main activity, and the other is with the with politicians, whom we're trying to address not only through the media but also via mailings. At the beginning of our campaign here, for example, we selected 350, 400 politicians in Germany whom we supplied with our brochures directly. We confronted them with our demands. This is where we're heading. This is what we're demanding. And this wasn't, in any sort of paternalistic way where we we're trying to lift fingers and pontificate, but we very much believe in driving home the message again and again in different shapes, with variations. And we want patients to be able to recognize themselves in this campaign where they say, well, this is the type of situation I'm in, and then they will become more active. And we've done this for more than 20 years now. We'll be highly visible also in doctors' practices. We are encouraging doctors to pass on our folders and brochures to patients. We've addressed doctors on many occasions. We could do that through direct mail, but also in the future we'll be reporting to doctors about publications in specialist magazines and periodicals. Now, I don't need to read out this slide to you in its entirety. There are some folders and other material, fly sheets available outside here. You can download material, of course, from our internet page, or approach me directly. So everybody is entitled to pain therapy. The patient is at the center of the flow focus. Support of pain research. We need to respect patients. Pain treatment has to be made part of medical training. In the diagnosis catalog, it already figures as a separate entry, but it's called a physical and psychological disorder or something like that, which doesn't do justice to the specificities of chronic pain. I believe that's the current situation in the diagnosis category lists or schemes. So this is where we need to set in. Now, ad idem and discount regimes have to be stopped clearly, ladies and gentlemen. There can be no doubt about that. I'll leave it at that. I want to give you time and space to talk about and debate results from the workshops. So at this moment, let me sum up by saying, let me invite you to come to our fora. Please challenge us. We will make our knowledge and experience available to you. In the forum, there are a few familiar faces, people whom we've worked together with. Although our brochures can be translated, you can adapt our materials to your national requirements, and that will then help you to help patients in your countries, and will also improve the dialogue with doctors. So thank you for listening, and I hope I've given you something to chew over on your way home. Thank you.